On this episode of Worst to First, Matt Stewart and I, Brian Stewart, we are going to be going over some of the key semi-off-season topics. I mean, we do have the Super Bowl, the big game, still ahead of us in about 10 days, but that's in a weird spot right now where there's really not a whole lot of anything going on. They're not practicing, and so there are fortunately some really big things going on around the league that you don't always get every year, and no more appropriate place to begin than, for the second time, Tom Brady retiring. And this time when he released the video on Twitter, and he kind of said, Matt, he wanted it to be different than last year, and he wanted it to come from himself. So he posts his video on Twitter, and he says it's for good. And I guess first off, I would just ask you, do you believe him? Do you think that this is it for Tom Brady?
There's part of me that thinks it is, but yet again, there's part of me that thinks it isn't. There's a shot that he could want to come back, and who could blame him, all right? I mean, if you had a chance to play in the NFL for as long as he has and been able to excel for the majority of it, it'd be pretty dang hard to walk away. I mean, think about it. After all, this guy already walked away from his family to play for like a mediocre Bucs team. So would it be crazy to think that he'd want to come back and play for a team that's got it put together? Maybe say the 49ers want to make a baller move or another team in that similar situation. I mean, am I crazy to think that? What do you got?
Couple items. First, I think one of the biggest obstacles to him coming back is the fact that the few teams who would have been interested in his services are going to go ahead and move on with other options because they think they have to. And so if you're San Francisco, and let's just throw out a random team. Well, that's probably a bad example. Let's say you're the Jets and you kind of were thinking about Brady, but now you end up with either Rodgers or Carr, or you name it. Well, that option's gone. And so I'm afraid for Brady's sake, by the time he could decide, he could get that itch. Because that's the thing. Here in February, January just ended. It's easy to feel like I want to walk away. You just got your ass kicked all season, basically, and it didn't end well at all with the playoff game. But what's he going to feel like in July, June? A competitor like that, it's going to cross his mind, but here's why it's not going to happen ultimately. That deal he's got with Fox to be a broadcaster, $375 million. Are you kidding me? I mean, guys don't get that playing at an elite level in the NFL usually. Unless you're a quarterback nowadays, you might get that. But that's it. No other position. And he's getting that to do a job he's never even done before. He has not done this broadcasting thing one time. Probably didn't even audition. But that just kind of, I guess, goes to show the kind of guy that Brady is. Like, you can trust that he's probably going to be good at that. He's definitely going to work hard at it because that'll be his new competition in a sense. He's going to want to be better than Tony Booth. And right now he doesn't have a very high bar to clear.
For starters, I just want to address that. I think he's going to be able to excel past Tony Romo, no problemo. Another thing, Fox paying that kind of money, like, that's crazy. Like, how is that? I mean, not to turn this into a Fox business show, but how is that remotely profitable for them in the long run? I don't understand that at all. You think, are people tuning in the games listening to Tom Brady talk about it? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like Fox is hosting the Super Bowl this year, which I kind of like. For the Chiefs, the last one that they won was on Fox, so it just kind of good vibes to me. But it will be a totally different crew. It will be Greg Olson, who has done a great job filling in as that one head guy. Brady's going to ultimately unseat him. And Kevin Burkhardt, he's also great. But, the same amount of people are going to watch that game as they would if Brady was calling it. So it is kind of weird that you would fork over so much cash. But who knows, maybe the Fox, whoever handed that money out, maybe they're a Patriots fan. I don't know. There's something to that. I'm sure they
are. I mean, if not, that's just craziness, if you ask me. And, we talked about, you mentioned, Brady said he's gone, so maybe these teams won't even entertain him. But here's another question for you, Brian. Last season when he retired, Was that not the same period that he was exploring things with Miami? Who's to say that that's not happening here again? I know that they said we're sticking with Tua, but let's be real. They got to be thinking, I don't know if this guy can stay on the field. And when he's not on the field, clearly this team cannot excel. So maybe they want something a little more reliable in regards to injury.
Nothing would shock me. That's a good segue into what we're about to discuss. Look, if you're listening to this and you wanted us to spend a bunch of time praising Brady and all of his accomplishments, like, this isn't the show for you. I'm sure there are a lot of others, even mainstream or Patriots related, who will gladly do that for you. But, congrats, Tom. We're moving on. Have a nice life, and you obviously will. But you said that about Miami last year and them flirting with him. There was the coach involved in that picture. That was Sean Payton. And this is our first chance to talk about Sean Payton, who was traded to the Denver Broncos for a first-round pick in this upcoming draft, the same one Denver acquired when they sent Bradley Chubb to Miami, and a second-round pick next season. Denver, I believe, got a fourth-rounder or a third-rounder in 2024, so it's not a total for a 1 and a 2, but a substantial trade, any way you look at it. And they get him. We don't know what he's getting paid. But, Matt, I can only assume when you sign up to play or coach, for a Russell Wilson-led team that they cut a fat-ass check. And those Walmart folks probably gave Payton somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million a season. What do you think? What are your first thoughts on this?
I mean, I think that has to be the case, right? Because, who would willingly – not to say that Russell can't turn it around a little bit, but what we've seen on the field for the past year and a half, 2 years, maybe beyond that, Russell's not that guy that we all thought he was anymore, right? So I think it's got to be money, because not only do you have that coming into that situation, but think about the opportunity cost by taking that job right now, because by next season, think about the jobs that could be available. I think Dallas could be open. The Chargers could be open. There's a lot of really good teams with some, strong foundation that could be, a Super Bowl team just in a blink of an eye. So it's got to be worth a lot of damn money, don't you think?
There's no question. That's the one thing that I'm probably most certain about. There were reports, I believe, almost 2 weeks ago, that Payton probably wouldn't go to Denver because of Russell and concerns about working with that ownership group, because he's going to come in and want all the power, and that GM is a lame duck at this point, right? He's not. If I'm the GM, I doubt he had anything to do with this decision, because you are giving away so much of your pool. That doesn't mean he's going to get fired. He's just second in command, and I think draft picks are going to be Payton's decision. I think free agents largely are going to be Payton's decision. But as we spin it forward and what we expect this to result in, I have a lot of questions, and we'll find out, I guess, next fall. I can see a situation where Payton does make this Denver team competitive. They haven't made the playoffs in 7 seasons. They haven't made the playoffs in 7 seasons. I can definitely see that changing with the leadership that Payton brings. But I believe there's going to be a cap on it as long as Russell Wilson is the QB. I don't think you're going to see this team playing in AFC championships or Super Bowls by any means. Maybe a wild card round. Payton apparently has said goal number 1 is to get the running game going. Makes sense. That's what Seattle did for Wilson's entire tenure there. So, yeah, if they can do that, if they can put together a stout rushing attack and then just kind of let Russell do what he did in Seattle and hit a deep ball every now and then, just throw that moon ball, as he likes to call it, that might work out, because the defense is good right now. We'll see. He's going to have to get a new coordinator. There's rumors Vic Fangio could even be coming back, which would be crazy. But, again, when you're getting paid what those Walmart folks are going to do, you can set a lot of things aside for that. So that will be interesting. But then we circle all the way back to the beginning, and it's like they don't have any draft picks this year, and they're damaged on picks a little bit next year too. Like, it's going to be very hard for Payton to build this roster in the short term. It's going to take some time. And by the time he does build the roster, then, yeah, maybe you'll be able to move on from Russell. I don't know. It's messy. And I think Denver is – I understand why they did it, but I'm not sold totally.
Yeah, so that's another point I wanted to bring up. Is that part of the thought process? The team's already thin on draft capital. Let's go ahead and give whatever we have left to try and get Sean Payton for the sole purpose of maybe this guy has enough respect on his name that Russell will listen to him and not try to cook the whole damn time. Is that what it is, you think? Or because otherwise I don't know if I understand it totally.
Matt, I think this is going to turn into Seattle 2.0, and Russell's going to have to fall in line. And this past season provided the evidence, and Payton provides the credibility to where he's got to do what he used to do and just go as the rest of the team leads him. Russell Wilson cannot be that guy who puts the team on his back, on his arm per se, and win games week in and week out. Maybe once in a while, but Payton knows what he's getting into. He's taking that cash, he's grabbing that bag, and his chance to win is, hey, get Javonte Williams back, maybe add some pieces on the offensive line. I don't know how you do it because, again, the picks aren't there. The money is there, but it's not like they can just spend whatever they want. We'll see. It's just they could have a great year and still finish third in that division very, very easily. Possibly fourth, depending on what the Raiders do at quarterback. I mean, and that's a fascinating conversation because I thought Brady was going to end up being the answer, and clearly not.
Still might. I'm not giving up hope.
Yeah, well, to me, though, that's like if McDaniels thought that could happen, they would already be on the same page, I feel. I feel like that's something where they would have tampered and been like, hey, Tom, let's get this going here in March. And clearly they're not on the same page about that if that were the case. But not to get too far off topic, Denver, you had nowhere to go but up. So, and it's not your money, and it doesn't count against the cap. So, yeah, probably a decent move, which is, a big step for me to say because there hasn't been a whole lot of decent to come out of Denver. Longest AFC playoff drought, tied with the Jets. That tells you how things are going there. All right, Matt. We have a few key offseason superlative type things that we are going to talk through because these stories are just dropping like flies. I mean, shit, by the time we shut this off, there might be another one, a huge key story brought up. The Derek Carr trade, that could be in the next week. But we're going to go here, okay? And that is the team Lamar Jackson is most likely to play for in 2023. There's a lot of options, a lot of teams that I think will be interested. But do you even think he leaves Baltimore?
I think if it's up to him, he does. I don't think he wants anything to do with Baltimore. Because, we can talk about him not having an official head honcho agent to not get a deal done. But let's be real. Who needs an agent to sign for $200-300 million, whatever they're offering for him? If he wanted to be there, he'd be there right now. So I think he's definitely wanting to explore other options. The question is where? That is the true question, right? I don't know if you have any leads on that. I've got some ideas of my own.
Well, shoot them because I can't say I really have the leads. I have thoughts of my own that I think would fit. But
okay, first for starters, I know Miami doesn't really have the capital, but if they did, I think they'd definitely be interested. Could you imagine that team with Lamar on it? The speed, wow! You just send Tyreek and Jalen deep, and then he just takes off. Oh, that'd be something else. That'd be tough. Hope it doesn't happen, honestly. Then you've got, here's another team. I just thought of it just right now. Tom Brady left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did they blow that team up, or do we try to bring somebody in like Lamar and, get the ship got going again?
I would stay close in the division, okay? There are two teams in that NFC South division that I think Lamar could fit in very well. The one that I was starting to lean towards, I actually pulled away from because the Carolina Panthers, they hired Frank Reich, and I don't know that Frank Reich's offense and Lamar Jackson is a great marriage. But let me tell you an offense that could be a perfect marriage. And it's not crazy because the Atlanta Falcons just a year ago made a very, very hard push at trading for Deshaun Watson. They were willing to give him a huge contract, trade the 3 first-round picks that it costs. So they've already proven that they're willing to make that type of big, splashy quarterback move. And I actually think Lamar is very good in that the Falcons are a running team right now. They run the ball with intent, led by Arthur Smith. You know, he came from Tennessee during their prime run. He likes to run the ball. He likes to, play off of that, let his offensive line get going up forward and be physical. And you give him Lamar Jackson, add him into that. Because I don't think you can go into the season thinking Desmond Ridder is the answer. And I don't think they do. I would be shocked if it's getting to the point where, like, if you're Arthur Smith, my job, if I don't have progress here, could be gone. So I think he's going to pound the table and say, let's go, man. And Lamar also has proven he can bring out the best in a star tight end. And the Falcons have talent there with Kyle Pitts that just needs to be, exposed. So right now, man, that's my call. I think Lamar ends up in Atlanta playing in a dome. They become a hot playoff pick next year. Get out of that AFC. You see it, man. You don't want to be trying to go through Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert every year just to get to the Super Bowl. Go to the NFC where it's Jalen Hurts. It's insert 49ers quarterback. That's my thought.
Yeah, actually, I like that a lot. I think that would elevate the Falcons immediately. And, it would probably boost Lamar's legacy in general because, he's going to be in the conversation for NFC titles, making it to the Super Bowl, hell, maybe even winning one. It's tough to do right now in Baltimore, considering all the things they have going on. The thing that might hold up Lamar, let me throw this at you, the receiver situation in Atlanta, right? It's going to be similar, right, to what they got going on in Baltimore. They traded out Ridley and stuff like that. Yeah. But maybe they're a team willing to do that. I don't know. Do you think receivers are willing to come just to not play with Lamar, or was it the offense in Baltimore that they didn't want to be a part of? Some other questions to bring up.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough sell. It is. But to me, at this point, 5 years into his career, it is what it is. You just go with it. He probably has to understand that unless I really raise my game as a passer, I'm probably not going to just get the pick of the litter. And look, Baltimore tried. They drafted Rashad Bateman, and he ended up getting injured and missed most of the season. So maybe Atlanta does the same thing. But like I said, you've already got Pitts in place. So really all you need, I think, is one other threat. Definitely get you a couple of burners who can take the top off with play action and all that. But it's going to be a run-first team, and that's why I like the fit in Atlanta. If he doesn't end up with the Falcons, I do think he goes back to Baltimore, and it's going to be one of those weird Kirk Cousins 1 year, dragging it out type of things. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah, no, I like the fit. I think it does make a lot of sense. Maybe some other wild card things. Let's just throw with the law. Jerry got rid of Kellen Moore. He didn't really do anything else. So he had enough with Dak. Maybe he's like, let's ship out Dak and Zeke up north to Baltimore. And, we'll give them a pick too. And we'll take Lamar off your hands for you. Maybe something like that. Maybe Arizona, I don't know who they're going to have a coach. Maybe they're like, I'm not really in on this Kyler Murray guy. He's not really passing the vibe check. Maybe we send him off. Someone else, DeAndre Hopkins, along with him. I don't know. I don't know if any of that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm just, totally reeling right now. But I don't know. Throwing it out there.
You're reeling. You're reeling. And I'll say because for the Cardinals, they just can't pull it off due to the contract. It would probably, I would venture to say, cost them like $100 million in cap space just to get rid of Kyler.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of stuff. Tampa Bay, you mentioned that earlier. I don't know. Maybe I kind of feel like they might be getting ready for a tank, and it's a good year to do that. Couple quarterbacks next year that are viewed as much better prospects than the ones in this class. So we'll see. I don't know, but Lamar, you're listening to this. I know you are. Go to the NFC. Okay, go get your money, but go to the NFC.
Absolutely.
Okay, our next on deck, we call this show Worst to First. We are going to do a couple of these. Let's start here, Matt. Most likely team to go from first to worst. And by that I mean won their division this year, but next year will finish in the cellar in last place. I'll let you start here because I don't think there's a ton of options that really pop. There's just a couple for me. I'm sure you're going to agree.
Do you by chance have a list pulled up?
Good idea. Let's start in the AFC, okay? AFC, we got the Bills, the Bengals, the Jaguars, and the Chiefs, okay?
This is super hard, actually. I'm gonna keep. What you were gonna say something?
NFC. We gotta go NFC.
Okay. My bad.
Yeah. NFC. You have the Eagles, the Vikings, the Buccaneers, the 49ers.
Okay. Yeah. So there's one really obvious one that sticks out to me, and I'm sure it does to you.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. I haven't decided which one yet. No, I have decided which one yet. I know which one I'm going with. This is going to shock the world. It's going to shock myself a little bit. I can't believe I'm saying it. We just watched this team Sunday night. Great team. Great team. Who's to say? Maybe Cincinnati falls apart after a devastating loss. You know, some personalities start flaring up. Maybe Joe's not quite as cool as he was. And, I don't know. That division's kind of tough, If Lamar leaves it, obviously that's going to impact things a little bit, obviously. But Cleveland, they're going to have a full season under Deshaun Watson. I don't know if that's good or not, but it's got to be better than what they had. And then we got Pittsburgh. I know they got to overcome Kenny Pickett. Shout out Bass Daddy, but that's a great defense. They could elevate their game as well. I don't know. Maybe.
No, I can't. I can see Cincinnati maybe falling to second because all three of those teams are capable of making that leap into the top spot, but not last place. Not unless there's devastating injuries that take place. Same thing would apply to really all those AFC teams, in my opinion. None of them are bad enough at quarterback to get last, but they've got competitors in their division that could knock them down to second, maybe third. I look at the NFC. There are a couple teams who I legitimately think have a decent chance to finish in last place in their division. And the first one that I'm going to start with, this one is a little obvious. Tampa Bay. I just said that they're a tank candidate. If they don't get a lot better this offseason, it'll be like old times when they did get last place. It seemed like every other year. But that's a layup, man. Here's the one that I'm really going to get you with. Minnesota. Okay? Minnesota, to me, I feel pretty good about that. And it's pretty simple. Detroit, they're set up to have a great offseason, roll into next year, and probably be the odds-on favorite to win the division.
I think it's fair.
If Green Bay gets Rodgers back, okay, fine. But even if they don't, I like that team enough that I can see them staying in that wild card hunt with Love or whoever's quarterback. And then Chicago enters the offseason with more resources available than any team we've ever seen as an offseason begins. They have basically $100 million in cap space to blow. They have the number one draft pick and several picks to go along with that. And we already know they have the quarterback in place. So that's like a fun option to possibly leap up and leave Minnesota, who I think's at their wits' end. I think Minnesota's at a soft reset spot where, hey, let's take the quarterback of the future in the draft and kind of get him ready for years beyond. So, yeah, I'm taking Minnesota with Tampa Bay as a caveat. Like, obviously, they probably have a real shot.
Yeah, I can't say I hate it. I like both of those. Those all would have been on my short list as well. Definitely Tampa. Minnesota, I like it. And here's the thing. Minnesota, if they play things right now, I feel like they could set themselves up a little bit, kind of similarly that the Chiefs did a few years back, when they drafted Mahomes. Maybe they elevate their game a little bit in the long run. This actually elevates them to, a team that could win a Super Bowl maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you told them that was a possibility even, I think Vikings fans so hungry for a winner, and honestly, they deserve it. They're one of those fan bases that has been so loyal, and they bring it every week, but they're in a rut right now. They're bumping their head on the ceiling. That is Kirk Cousins, and something needs to change. So that's where I'm at on that one. Matt, before we go to the next one, you got anything to add?
I don't think so. I think we went over all the options, and I mean, I know I'm grasping at straws a little bit, but hey, if I'm right in a year, I told you so.
Yeah, don't forget to pop your head in and let us know if you are right. It'll be a miracle. Now, our last one, folks, it is, of course, going along with the name of the show, the most likely team to go from worst to first a year from now, last place in their division this year, all the way to division champions. And let me take you through the list. So this year you had the New York Jets, the Cleveland Browns, the Houston Texans, Denver Broncos, Washington Commanders, Chicago Bears, Atlanta Falcons, Arizona Cardinals. Matt, take a second, think about it. I don't know if you like one of those, if you like 4 or 5, I don't know.
I think there's definitely more viable options for this one than the other category we just did.
Here, let me start you here. I think the obvious one that is at least worth talking about is what if the Jets do get Rodgers? Do you think that they're a division favorite, or that's a tough division? Like, I don't care if they have him or not. Like, that's not going to be easy.
No, yeah, that's the thing. I was actually thinking in the last segment, I was like, maybe the Bills, because I mean, I know they looked, the last half of the season they didn't look like themselves, and a loss like that sometimes can kind of derail a team a little bit. And who knows what's going on with Josh Allen's arm? I don't know if it's injured. I don't know if it's just him kind of regressing back into that guy he came in the league as. Absolutely can be possible. The Jets are great everywhere else besides pretty much quarterback. So, yeah, why the hell not? Why couldn't they make a run all the way to the top?
That's one that I've got my finger on, and I think because that division was only separated by a few games from first to last. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Buffalo kind of ran away with it. But you look at Miami 9-8, New England 8-9, Jets 7-10. And I personally think that the Bills will have a hard time getting to that win total again. I think they'll be good, possibly even better, just by hopefully staying healthier. But I don't know that they're going to win that many games regular season. But the team that I think is most likely, honest to God, is the one I was just mentioning earlier, the Chicago Bears. Because, and it might be a year early, but you think about what they're going to be able to do with all that money. They're going to sign whoever they want, and if they're smart, I think what they do, it's not go get the biggest fish on the board. It's get like a bunch of guys who you feel like are just great value. And yeah, you might be overpaying them a little bit, but you think they're going to fit that, whatever that system is Chicago wants on defense, on offense. And I would really try to load the defense up in free agency, because you bring veterans in on defense, they'll figure it out. By, October, you could have something. You could have a group that's playing well together. Get Fields, more weapons, of course. They're going to have all the resources to do that, the offensive line. And who knows, man, because, yeah, I love the Lions, and I think that right now they would be my pick. But it is the Lions, and so it's hard not to feel like they are primed to let us down year in and year out.
No, I think that's an excellent take, because I don't know about you. All throughout the season, how many games the Bears won? 3 games? Am I right about that?
Yeah, it's bad.
The thing is, every single game we picked, I never thought of them as like a 3-win team. I was like, this team could win if they put it together, if they want to win. I think that's a big source of a lot of their losses. They didn't want to win. They wanted to tank, get a better pick, and I totally understand that. It very well set them up for the future. And like you said, they may take the division as early as next year. So, yeah, I'm all in on that one.
For sure. Fields needs to start staying healthy. Fields, he was banged up a lot this year, and that could be just part of who he's going to be because he can't not run. That's what makes him special. That's what sets him apart. So you can't stop that. You just hopefully, I don't know, reduce the way you get hit. Even though he had some soft tissue, hamstring pulls, things like that. We'll see. Matt, before we get out of here, anything you want to add to the conversation?
I don't have a ton. I mean, I think there's some other candidates that can make a case. Like, for example, like we were talking about earlier, the NFC South is going to be wide open. And so who knows? If Lamar or someone like that similarly goes to the Falcons, why not? They could take a run at that as well. Because let's be real, I don't think the competition is going to be out of this world. If I had to pick a team right now as a favorite, it would probably be them or the Panthers, probably. I don't know. New Orleans has talent all around, but I don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback. So maybe them. Maybe the Falcons.
Yeah, and that's where we'll have to have this conversation like 5 more times before the next season begins. Just knowing that, hey, a month from now, rosters are going to look different. 2 months from now, they're going to look way different. After the draft, it's going to get crazy, and we're going to have much different thoughts. And we'll get there when we get there, man. But in the meantime, getting ready for the Super Bowl, Chiefs and Eagles going to Arizona, and W2Fers, we will be talking about that game in depth next week with our show. I don't know what the plan is exactly. We might just have to release a big old Super Bowl preview, probably Thursday, get you up as close to the game as possible. It's going to be a long one, especially for Chiefs fans, Eagles fans. But we will, one day at a time, march along. And until then, make sure you continue to interact. And we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. For Matt, we will talk to you later. See ya.
Take care.